As an athlete, we are talked about the most, but heard the least. People usually glamorize our world, but do not know the reality of it. What is the reality? The reality is being away from family almost all year due to competition. It is being in the public eye and having your every move being watched. It is being both mentally and physically tough to sacrifice your body every day for the sport that you love. It is going to college without a clue of what you want to major in because people always told you you were a great athlete and nothing more. It is enduring injuries and having to push through because people need you to perform. It is experiencing mental health but having no one to speak to because there are no programs in place for athletes. It is looking at a 2% chance of making it to the pros, although they told you you were the one to make it. Everyone sees the glamour of being an athlete, but are you aware of the reality of it?
All right, so I'm really excited about this project you're doing. So I have some questions regarding that. So if you could tell me in your own words, what is your project about?
The title of my book is called The Reality Behind the Glamour, or TRBTG, as you have seen it on all my social media platforms. And how this project started was actually you had a play in that. We were talking about athletes, and we were talking about how some athletes don't take their education seriously in college. Then they don't know what to do afterwards. And that kind of inspired me because when I was overseas playing, and I was always writing, always thinking, it was just me getting out my thoughts. And so whenever we started talking about athletes, I'm very passionate about it because I was an athlete myself, and I've been through the experiences that athletes go through. So I was like, well, this is the perfect time to kind of air out my experience of how college was for me and help some athletes that may be struggling through the process of like getting recruited and then following that process of going to college and then afterwards. And so whenever we were talking, you actually encouraged me to take it on because you were like, do it. I was like, what? You want me to write a book? Like I should do this? And you were like, yeah, just do it. I have connections here. I have, a publisher, go ahead, think of your title and just put some stuff down. Let me see it. And that's how it honestly started. So
you're excited about it as I
was, yes, very excited about it.
Yeah, that's good. Another question I have for you is, how has the process been and what do you hope to get out of this in the end?
Before I started, I thought the process was going to be a breeze, honestly. I was like, well, if I just put my thoughts down and then get it to the people I need to get it to, like it should be an easy process. But that's not how it turned out. Like it was a struggle. And I got mentally fatigued throughout the process as well because it's like, it's not as simple as just putting your thoughts down. It's like you have to think through the content that you're putting down and then what type of reaction you're trying to get out of the people that you're writing to. Words are strong, and you don't want to communicate the wrong thing. You want to make sure you're concise and to the point. Although it was a little tough, I think the people that I had around me to help me through this process made it easier for me to complete it. So
that's nice. Okay, my next question is, what is your connection to the content in the book, and in what way do you think people are going to react to it?
Well, like I said before, I was an athlete. I went through the whole recruiting process like every other athlete. I think with me, I started playing basketball my freshman year. Most athletes start at a young age and they grow up within the sport. I started my freshman year, so I was figuring everything else as I go, and I didn't really have a lot of support because my mom wasn't knowledgeable of this world, She just wanted me to go to college, get an education. But everything that came with that, she didn't know, and I didn't know either. And so it was just me trying to figure it all out. And after going through it and graduating, it's like everything clicked. And I was like, okay, now that I know everything that I know now, going through it, I could help somebody else navigate through that same process, especially to those athletes that don't have the proper support around them, and help them notice the red flags, because ultimately it is a business. And some athletes are so lost within the process that they don't realize, the hype is you go through high school, you get a scholarship, you go to college, you graduate, and you go to the league. That's the process. But they don't understand everything that goes in between those processes, and sometimes they don't have the right people to navigate them through or help them through. We all go through these things, we're going through these things together. It might be a different experience, but ultimately it's the same because we're all athletes in the end. and it could help them maybe have a better experience than what could have happened if they didn't have this information. So
yeah, it's very insightful
Yeah.
for athletes.
Yeah.
So my next question is, did you have any help along the way for this project, and when does the book come out?
I did have a ton of help, actually, a lot of connections. Like I said before, you were the initial start of it. And then through that, as far as finding athletes, your part was more so finding the right people to get my book to, editing, publishing, all those things. And then the athletic part of it, getting connections to athletes, it was more so Majak. He had a part in finding athletes for me. David had a part in finding athletes for me. And those athletes were so willing to help. They wanted to be heard, you know, because most of the time we're talked about a lot, you know, but we're never really given the voice to speak on our own and speak our own experiences. And so they were very happy to be a part of it and provide their insight and, I guess, reinforce the information that I was saying, because I didn't want to be the only voice on this project. I wanted other people to speak on it too, so it's not just me speaking on my experience. I guess it's better that way, you know,
Right,
than
it
just
is.
having me on there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where can one find it if they wanted to purchase it? And do you have any book signing events or plans for that in the future?
I will let you guys know the exact date, obviously before it drops, and you can find it on Amazon. That's where I'll be publishing it. My intentions are to help people, you know, to get my information out there. So however it is received is up to everybody else. I just want to get it out there and get people to read it. I plan to do a book signing after I release it. I will let people know of that information once it comes out. So, yeah. I had some questions for you. Before taking on this project and speaking to you about it, what were your thoughts on athletes initially? Maybe some things you have heard about athletes in college, or maybe some things that you knew personally, or in regards to their sport and their education.
I think some of it has to do with stereotypes that are out there, like where, you know, if you're a good enough athlete, you get a free ride to higher education like college. And when you get there, most of them don't really pursue education, you know, given that opportunity where they can just further themselves career-wise. But that's not everybody. I don't classify all of them like that. There are others that actually take advantage of that opportunity of going to college and that, you know, pursuing something that they're passionate about as far as a degree, alongside them playing and performing for whatever college offers them that full scholarship.
After talking to you about it and everything that I knew, because I've been through the experience, why did you think this project was a good project for me to pursue?
And it's along the lines of, you know, you put the information out there, as you said earlier, even if it means reaching one athlete out there that can make those wise decisions based on the information you provided, and then it's worth it. So I believe a lot of them out there are misinformed because they all latch on to that dream of making it big, but don't realize how difficult it is to make it big. And if they don't make it, do they have a plan B? I think most of them don't have a plan B, versus this book will help them, you know, think about it at least, if not act on plan B, which is, you know, take advantage of that scholarship you have, you know, get a degree, so if the big leagues don't work out, you have plan B, which is your education to land on and you know, do something with your life at that point.
So a lot of people think that if you're not an athlete, this information would not benefit them. What are your thoughts on that?
Not necessarily. It's just it all depends on their background, their upbringing, where they're coming from. So, you know, their background is where they don't have that support structure as far as family encouraging them, advising them, showing them, you know, what's the right path to take. You know, this information could be beneficial.
I also believe that you don't have to be an athlete to find this information useful. You have a connection to an athlete one way or another, so it doesn't have to directly affect you or benefit you, but I feel like information is meant to be shared, and if you have that information but somebody else needs it, you can always share with them, and it doesn't always necessarily have to benefit you directly. So
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.